Hello everybody, we're back today and we're going to be looking at how to complete some of the Chapter 1 exercises. I'm going to go ahead and get us started by just loading up my IDE. So I'm going to bring Spider up, you guys should do the same. And then I'm also just taking a really quick look here at which programming exercises we need to complete. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring up the electronic version of the book on my screen so we can look at it that way. So I'm going to pause the video here just for a moment. Okay, so I do have the book open on the screen now so that we can work on this. And I'm actually going to take a really quick look at which ones we had assigned. And unfortunately, it looks like I closed out Blackboard, so I got to jump back in there to go get to it. And once again, we are working in Unit 2 on the Chapter 1 exercises. So we need to do the first two exercises. So let's just begin by reading what it says. It says, write a program that prints a greeting of your choice, perhaps in a language other than English. And if you guys want to do a different language, that's fine. The whole point is to get something up on the screen. That's the whole point of this assignment. I am going to begin, before I code, by doing file management. Now, I know that I was like driving this home last week quite a bit, give you a whole little lecture on it. You guys need to have a place where you're storing your files. You can see that I'm working in my Python folder in my Google Drive, which also loads up Resident on my computer. And I do have a folder for Chapter 1, and that's where I'm going to work. So I'm just going there, not because I need to start here, but to show you that I'm thinking about file management before I even begin, and you guys need to have that mindset too. Think about the files you're creating and where you're putting them. Remember, if you're working on a school machine, right, which happens, whatever work you do, you might want to just throw it on a desktop or something, and then when you're done, drag and drop it into Google Drive or drop it on a flash drive or whatever. I would prefer you use cloud storage because it's just basically safer. If you guys need guidance with that, once again, please feel free to reach out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the program that I have open here in the Spider IDE right now. And that was the one that we had worked on last week in class. Not very impressive, but it is what it is. And we're about to do about the same thing. So I'm going to begin with a new file, and you see that by closing the one, Spider does this thing where it automatically gives you another one to work with, and it is untitled. And my suggestion to you is whenever you're working in any sort of program that creates any sort of a file, and you want to hold on to that and not lose it, first thing you do is save your file. So I'm going to go to the File menu, do a Save As. Hopefully it'll pick up the last location. It didn't, so I will have to go to my Google Drive and navigate there. So I'm in my Python folder, and then I'm in my Chapter 1 folder. All right, I'm going to call this one, well, you know, I'm going to do something that makes sense to me, and that is basically I'm going to call it what the exercise is. So I'm going to actually put P 1.1 in the title, greeting. And then I'm going to add .py at the end for Python. Now, some people might say, well, you got a period here in your file name, is that bad? You know what, actually it is kind of bad. Why? Because in a Windows file system, whenever you put a period in there, it thinks you're starting the file extension. And the truth is Windows has gotten smarter about it, but it's really probably not a good practice to put a dot in there. So I'm actually going to use an underscore instead. So to me this says Programming Exercise 1.1, and I'm going to call it Greeting. And I'm putting a dash in there too. Notice the one thing I'm not putting in there is any spaces. And that's kind of like a smart rule for any programming language when you're saving files. Eliminate spaces from the file names. It's fine when you're writing your term paper or maybe creating a spreadsheet, not good when you're writing programs. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now we're all set to work. So I don't need to do much to make this one happen, right? What's the command I need to type? Right? And what's the greeting I want to put out there? It really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to say greetings from planet Earth. All right. Do I need to do any more for this program? I mean, basically, I think I'm done. See how kind I am with the homework, you guys? It's not really that hard at all. So the first programming exercise is just to develop a greeting of your choice. It doesn't say it has to be 10 lines long. It could be 10 lines long, but in this case, it's not going to be. What about all this stuff that's up at the top of the document? Am I okay leaving it there? Absolutely. Those are auto-generated. You know, I'm just going to leave it because I'm just too lazy to delete it, but it's easy enough to delete. The UTF-8 thing we talked about last time, it's just a standard that we use in coding. It's kind of implied. Anyhow, I'm not really forcing you at this point to put in comments, but as we get into chapter 2, you guys will see that they start to introduce comments and how they're used, and then at that point you might choose to maybe alter all this stuff and do it kind of in a way that you might feel more comfortable with, and that's fine. But for right now, I'm just kind of leaving it alone. I'm going to go ahead and save this first. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit the Run button, and you see it seemed to work just fine. So if I were you, creating this homework, I would fire up my word processor, whether that's Microsoft Word, Word Online, Google Docs, whatever your program of choice is, and I'm going to go ahead and create a blank document. I know that I demonstrated this last time, but it doesn't hurt to reinforce. So I'm going to say homework chapter 1. I might even put my name in here, and then I'll say exercise P 1.1, and then, you know, since this is kind of like a title, I guess I can make that a little bigger, a little bolder, something like that. And now I'm going to fire up my snipping tool, and remember how to do this, folks. Hit your start menu and just start typing SNIPP till it pops up, and you'll get this little interface. I do want to move Word out of the way first. And now I'm going to go ahead and click New. And I'm pretty much capturing the whole screen here. But I want to get that greeting in there at the bottom, like so. I'll get some students, frankly, that will do this instead. And I'll just repeat the process. Snipping tool. And then they'll just give me their code in one screenshot, and then they hit the copy button. We go over to Word and hit paste. See how easy that it is to read when you zoom in like that? And then we want to show the program running, so I'm going to go back to the snipping tool, click New, and then I'll come down here, and this is the part that actually did the work. So I'll copy that also and paste it into my document. What you might want to throw in as well, and some people have a lot to say and some people don't have much, and I'm not knocking either approach, but might be this was really easy. No problems. However, let's say you really struggled with it. I want to know that. I want to know that. Please tell me so I know. Because if I get like 15 people saying, I really struggled with this one a lot, I might reconsider reassigning it, or I might like actually take away the, like if you didn't do it right, I might take the points away. You know, it's a feedback tool for me as a teacher. And that's about all you really need to do. If you didn't do the screenshots in two little pieces like this, and I'm deleting them right now, and you just did it in one big screenshot that showed everything that I needed to see, and then put that into the Word document, that's fine too. The only thing I ask is, you see, I made my font bigger already, but you see how hard it is to see in that document? You know? And I'm not going to make any bones about it. I'm getting older and it's harder for me to see. So just keep that in mind. I think that I demonstrated last time what was kind of helpful is if you can fit it all on the screen by making just the window smaller, but you have it all on the screen, you could screenshot it that way, and then that'll look a little bigger on my screen too. But that's something we'll experiment with. The problem comes in, frankly, let's say some of you at home might be working with really large screens. Like I have like a really big screen at home, and when I put stuff on that screen and I screenshot that, it is so huge, and then when I put it in a document, there's like no way I'm reading it. So that's when you guys have to be mindful. So if you're pasting something into the document and you can't read it, guess what I'm going to say when I get it? I'm just giving you a heads up, right? Make sure I can see it and there won't be an issue. All right. That's the first exercise. Let's move on and do the next one. We're good? All right. So I'm going to go to File and create a new file. What's the first thing I'm going to do? Save it. So I'm going to hit Save As. And now it's going right to my Python folder. But make sure you put the stuff all in that same folder. Once again, I'm going to name it kind of the same way. I'm going to go program 1-_2. And then this instruction says, write a program that prints the sum of the first 10 positive integers. All right. Now, I'm going to call it sum of integers. That just makes sense to me. .py for Python. Then I'm going to click Save. All right. So we know we're going to use the print statement because that's pretty much all we've learned so far. But we got an issue here, right? Now they're throwing all this like technical stuff at us, like positive integers. All right, we haven't really talked about numbers yet. We talk about that in chapter 2. But what the heck is an integer? Somebody walked up to you on the street and said, "Hi, what's an integer?" And you would say, here's the easy answer. It's a counting number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So numbers that you count with. They can include negative numbers. So it can be -1, -2. It includes 0. It does not include fractional numbers. So no fractions and no decimal points. Those are integers. Now, we weren't really taught that we can do math in Python, but you know what? You can. Now, one thing that I think some students might do is they might do this. They might pull out a calculator for this one, and they might go 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, etc., plus 5, plus 6, plus 7, plus 8, plus 9, plus 10 equals 55. Now, it's kind of silly what I just did, because I can get the program to do that for me, but it's not silly what I just did, because now I know what the right answer is. So if I put the stuff into the program and it doesn't give me the right answer, I probably did something wrong. So some students will literally do this. They will just say print 55. Can you do that? Sure. That is the sum of 10 positive integers. And you know what? I can't really mark it down because they didn't say do the math, right? They just want the sum. Okay? But you should know this. I can actually ask Python to do the math for me. So type it in like this. And notice I'm leaving spaces between the numbers and the plus sign on purpose because that's just easier for the eye to read. You don't have to do that, by the way. All right. I'm going to do a Control S to save my work. And then I'm going to go ahead and run this. Let's take bets. Is it going to work or not? Let's say yes, it's going to work. All right. And if you come down here to the console, you can see that it did work. And notice what else I'm doing with the console here is I'm kind of scrolling it up because the console leaves all my previous work inside of it, right, when it's running. So I'm just scrolling it up so that this is the output, the 55, is visible on the screen. What some students may also do, and this is fine, you could say the sum of the first 10 positive integers is something like that. Save it, and then you could run it again, and you get this output. In fact, could you put that all in the same print statement? Yes, you could put it all in the same print statement if you wanted. Ask me if I care which way you do it. I don't care as long as you get it done. What I want you to do is start to think about it. And then ultimately, as a computer programmer, what you start to think about as you get moving forward on this stuff is really, what would the user want to see as a result of running a program? Now, I know that in my mind, I would probably say they should all be on the same line. I think that would look cleaner. So could I do this? Would this work? Now notice, I don't have Wordwrap turned on, but I'm going to tell you what, now I'm going to do it, right? And we got to figure out where they have that in this program. Does anybody know where Wordwrap is located? Probably in the preferences. I thought the editor, probably here, in wrap lines. Okay, so you guys see where I found that? I'm going to backtrack and just show you, all right? Because I'm new to this IDE also. This is kind of a new tool for me. So I went to Tools, Preferences, to the Editor panel here on the side, and then I'm going to choose Wrap Lines and Apply. And then what that does is whenever stuff is all on one line, it'll go down to the next line automatically rather than keep going off to the side. So you have to scroll. That's all that setting does for us. But you know what? It's helpful. Now I'm noticing right away here, I got this little pop-up in the margin. You notice that the little red X? And that's telling me that my syntax is invalid. And I know what's missing. Does anybody know what's missing? Joe? Yeah, this is kind of weird, and we'll learn about this. But I actually have to add a plus in front of the 1 to be able to join the numbers together with the string. Okay, we'll explain how that works later on. But that's called, formally it's called a concatenation symbol, which allows you to join either strings together or strings together with other things, so you can put them on the screen. All right, so this is going to be the correct syntax to put it all on one line. I'm going to go do a Control S to save again, and I'm going to hit the play button. Yeah, I need quotes. So this is giving me all sorts of issues, but you know, this is a beautiful thing. You guys would probably do something like this and go home and go, oh my God, I'll just put 55 in there and be done with it, right? But what we did here is we caused a problem, and it wants us to fix it. And it's trying to give us a hint on how to fix it. And as programmers, this is where we have to do this. The key thing that we have to do is not freak out. You gotta like figure out what it is and how to fix it. Alex.
So I ran again with the quotes of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked. But then I removed both quotes and I just put it all in one, and that also worked.
Okay, so how would you suggest that I fix this? So you found 2 ways to fix it.
Yeah.
Okay, give me one of your ways. What should I do?
You can delete that plus sign and the quote behind it. And then put end quote if it doesn't have one.
Okay. So Alex here told me that this is one way that he fixed it. And let's see if this actually does it. Should we? All right, let's try it. It's not throwing any errors, but you know, my other approach wasn't either. So yes, this did show it up on the screen, but it's not showing the answer. What happened now is we put the numbers inside the quotes, so now they're treated as text. There's no math happening.
Okay.
See the difference?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's okay to experiment like that. So that, I guess, kind of isn't a fix. I mean, the one thing I could just do is just say the sum of the first positive 10 integers is 55, all in double quotes, and I'm good. But how do I get it to show the math and the text? Did anybody figure that out? It gave us actually a hint, though, last time. Can only concatenate string, not an int to string. It won't let me do that. So guess which approach I'm going to go back to. I'm going to, watch what I do here. I'm going to use the Control Z. Have you guys ever used Control Z? You know what Control Z does? It undoes your steps. So I'm continuously pressing it right now. And I know that this worked, right? And I'm not here to try to make your life miserable by making these exercises take forever, but they do take a little bit of experimentation. Is there any way that you guys can think of that I can combine them on the same thing? Well, you know what? There is a way, but we haven't learned it yet. That's the answer. The way to do it is to put it into a variable, store the information, and then output the variable. But that's chapter 2. Okay? All right, so I'm going to call this done. You guys should screenshot your code, screenshot the output, and you know what? It's even okay to screenshot the mistakes, because it shows me that you tried stuff and you learned. Now, I'm just noticing here that, David, you're not seeing my screen. Sorry. But I was recording it, just so you know. And Jeff's also with us online. Let me do the screen share again. Here's screen number 1. And hopefully... next one. All right, we're going to move on to the next exercise, and my understanding is it's 1.6. We'll look at which other ones we have. We have 1.9, which is to make the little house. 1.11, which I'm tempted to do that one. I want to do ones that are easy, right? 1.6 is the one where you have to do this. You have to like take your name in large letters. Now the fun thing about this is, if you've never done, this is basically what we call ASCII art. It takes a little bit of time to figure it out, right? But I'm going to show you the procedure for it, and I'm just going to kind of guess. Like with Harry, it looks like they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of little stars that they're using. I'm just going to do the same thing. And then I'm going to try to do my name, try to do it kind of quick, okay? The fun part about this is it's not really that tricky to do. It's just a matter of patience. So I'm going to create a new file again. First thing I'm going to do is save it. I'm going to name it using the convention I've come up with, which is 1, 6, and then I'll just call it my name, .py, and I'm going to save it. I know that I'm going to have 5 print statements because there's 5 lines, and I'm just going to copy paste. Why not? You guys notice how I did that really fast without the mouse? It's Control V. You guys know that trick, right? I also know that everything I'm going to put in here is also going to have double quotes. I could have been a little smarter and put the double quotes before the copy paste, but hey, sometimes you're smart after the fact and not when you should be right off the bat. And then I'm going to kind of look at that example one more time, because with Harry, it looks like most of his letters are like 5 or 6 characters wide is my guess. So I'm going to try to do the same thing. So I'll go back to Spider. The first letter of my name is a T. So I'm going to type in, 5 is probably good. And my thinking is, because the T is going to have a thing that comes down in the middle, and I'll put it on the third one, so it's like, that's the middle one. So I'm going to go space, space, star, space, space, star. Like so. Now there's more letters in my name, and I'm not going to do like the official Greek version of my name because that's going to take forever. So I'm going to do Thai. It's only 2 letters. It's very advantageous. So I'm going to leave a space here, and then I'm going to put in an asterisk. And then I'm going to space over, and I don't want to put it right under that one. I want to go like over one, I'm guessing. And then maybe over one more. And see, my strategy here is I'm trying to get like the straight part of the Y in there first, and then I'll go back and fix the top if you guys are thinking I'm missing it. And, you know, for as primitive as this is, it does accomplish an effect. That's not the prettiest thing in the world, but you guys see how I did it? Right? And then you can kind of do the same thing with all the letters in your name. And hopefully you don't have a super long name. You know, it's like maybe only 5 or 6 letters. And it takes a little bit of time to do it, but it's kind of a fun little thing to do. And there are these people that do this stuff, ASCII Art, like as kind of a thing, and make like pretty interesting drawings out of it. Not something I'm encouraging you to do, but the point of this is the characters that we're putting up on the screen here each take up a certain amount of space, and because of that we can kind of predict where things line up in the output. I'm going to go ahead and run this, and you can see there's my name, yay! And it looks better down here than it does up there. And now that I look at it, there's probably things I would do to make it look even better, but I'm not really too picky about it. Any questions on how to do that one? Now, the rest of the exercises here, I'm not going to finish coding them through, but I will ask, is there any one of these that somebody wants me to demonstrate before I switch over to teaching chapter 2? You guys all okay? All right. Silence tells me that you guys are okay with this. So we completed the first 3 here, and then there's 5 additional ones that are, you know, right along the same lines. You know, probably the more challenging ones are towards the end, 14 and 15. And then those fell into like the business category. And this one says, write a program that prints a 2-column list of your friends' birthdays. The first column print the names, and the second column print their birthdays. And then here, they wanted you to make a little table of sales tax rates. It's not really that hard. None of the stuff is hard to do, right? The biggest trick here is that you have to actually go out and look something up. So like, you know what, and if you put in like tax rates that were wrong, I really don't care, frankly, because I don't know what they are. I know what Wisconsin is. I don't know what the other states are. Well, I know what Illinois is because it's a lot higher than Wisconsin. Do you guys know what the sales tax rate is in Wisconsin officially? It's 5%. Right. But we actually pay higher than that. In Milwaukee, Racine, and a couple other counties, it's like 5.5 or 5.6. If you guys go down to Illinois, do you know what the tax rate is there? I think it's like 8 or 9%. The difference is, though, in Wisconsin, when we go to the grocery store and buy food, we don't pay sales tax. In Illinois, they do, though. So that's why Woodman's is so strategically located just over the border. People come up. Not only do they save money by shopping there, but they save all that tax, too. And that's a lot. I mean, if you get a couple $100 worth of groceries, that's almost 20 bucks. That's a lot of money that you can use to buy additional food. So it's something to think about. Okay, so this will wrap the Chapter 1 exercise videos. I think the rest of them you can probably figure out on your own. But like I said, if you guys need help with any of it, please feel free to reach out.